Imagine turning a city into a war zone overnight. Literally. In the heart of Mexico's drug game, Sinaloa is a hidden war that rages on, but not government versus cartel, but cartel versus cartel.
Here they warn people on a bus to turn back. It's better if you get off because there's carnage up ahead, the gunman's saying. It's the worst violence in...
Everybody knows about El Chapo, right? But what folks ain't talking about is what happened after he got locked up. His son, Los Chapitos, they want the throne, gang. But the old head, El Mayo, he ain't going for none of that. So now, the Sinaloa Cartel is beefing with itself.
Guzman Lopez is one of two sons of El Chapo who are currently being held in Chicago on major drug trafficking charges. He's now set to plead guilty.
This is definitely a very unique situation.
Attorney Cesar Luna says this appears to be an arrangement of cooperation in exchange for protection, and an indicator the family fears violent retaliation.
You know, the son who's in prison, I'll talk, but you need to protect my family.
News of their arrival surfaced this.
Guzman arrived in the Chicago area on this Justice Department jet last week after a still unexplained cross-border plane trip from Mexico with his father's top cartel associate, Ismael El Mayo Zambada. El Mayo's attorney and government officials here claiming Guzman violently forced Zambada to the U.S. Ovidio Guzman and his brother Joaquin landed in the hands of federal prosecutors here. It seemed only a matter of time before they started playing Let's Make a Deal. Tonight, their attorney is saying talks are underway that could result in guilty pleas to the charges in a sizable drug trafficking case against them.
There's a myriad of possibilities in a situation like this.
After months of denying that there were plans for plea agreements, tonight New York-based attorney Jeffrey Lichtman says two Los Chapitos, these sons of Sinaloa Cartel kingpin El Chapo, would like to plead guilty if their deals are right. During a routine court hearing here at the Dirksen Federal Building Monday, Lichtman and prosecutors acknowledged plea talks are underway. Only Ovidio Guzman was in court, but Lichtman says he'd like to see Chapo's son Joaquin also negotiate a deal with prosecutors.
Although I represent both brothers, it doesn't change the fact that they individually have their own cases. So this isn't a package deal in terms of one doing one and one doing the other. I'd like them to do the same thing, have the same result, but the government views them differently.
Lichtman tonight insists there are no discussions about the brothers cooperating with prosecutors, but he was asked if cooperating is a possibility.
Since 2024, Sinaloa been hot. Over 2,000 bodies dropped already. Los Chapitos trying to move different, pushing fentanyl and shipping heavy. But El Mayo side, they ain't feeling none of how they moving. So now, it's all out war in the streets. Towns like Culiacan, they straight ghost towns when they pop off.
The feuds between the families of Joaquin Guzman, better known as El Chapo, and Ismael Zambada, alias El Mayo. Both men were leaders of the Sinaloa Cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful. Now they're in US prisons and their sons are battling for control. It appears to be to the death, and not just theirs. Along with those who turn up dumped on the streets every morning, hundreds are missing. This mother's on hunger strike, trying to will authorities to find her son.
Please act. Do what you can with the investigation file, please. I want my son back. He's a good boy. That's why I'm making this file public, so that you realize that I'm not asking you to defend and look for a criminal.
The city's economy's a victim too. Culiacan's known for its seafood restaurants, brimming.
Street beef? Nah, they mess people's lives up. Shops closing, folks calling out of work. They're not letting their kids go to school. Whole town losing money. When cartels beef, everybody pays.
It's a constant job which involves a big deployment of the army, of the navy in Mazatlan, securing highways, but also really specific operations to detain those causing the violence.
but it's poured soldiers and the National Guard onto the streets almost since this started in September, with no apparent impact. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
Sinaloa and the cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion are Mexico's most dangerous cartels. They don't only make money through drugs, but also arms, sex, and human trafficking, tapping petrol pipelines and extorting farms and small businesses. But what's most profitable is drugs. Their networks span continents as they have lucrative global deals for precursor chemicals. They manufacture drugs in secret labs and have carved out transportation routes across Mexico. Smuggling corridors have also been created to funnel drugs into the US to established hubs in various US cities. So what's the leadership structure like in a cartel? Think of it as an umbrella body, where instead of a hierarchical structure, different groups work under different leaders, like a board of directors instead of a centralized leadership. This means that the fall of one leader wouldn't necessarily crumble the whole organization. But as the US government notes, this makes cartels vulnerable to internal power struggles and fluctuating alliances.
So now we hear one of the biggest cartels in the world at war with itself. What's next? Do the Chapitos take over for real? Or is El Mayo gonna remind them who really built this empire? Either way, it's gonna get messier. Y'all let me know what y'all think gonna happen next in the comments. And subscribe and like